Welcome to the Unchurching Podcast. There's just so much more. Welcome back, and I hope that your awakening journey is going extremely well. If this is the first time with us, I hope you listen back because you've missed some real gold so far.
But
Yeah. We're going to continue with that goal today. And what we've realized is we kind of go through a process every week of wondering what and feeling, like trying to really hear what the next episode should be. We have a list and a guideline, but then we're like, okay, what do we feel this week? Like, we'll speak about it. And this week, we really want to speak about the power of the present moment in awakening.
Yeah.
So like we've spoken in previous episodes about some theology and about some churchisms and indoctrinations and things like that. But what are some of the answers? What are some of the tools? What are some of those things? And there's one fundamental truth, one fundamental tool that honestly supersedes all of them. And we get into some good tools in the next couple of weeks. We're going to have a guest on that's unbelievable.
I can't wait. That's going to be really good. Yeah.
But today we really want to set in a foundation. And in fact, this is the same foundation that I set in with my mentorship clients that we all agree works the best. Because when we get to speaking about other things, if you don't have this foundation in place,
That's true.
if you're not able to be in the present, then doing something like breath work, for example, would just be going through the motions. And you're not really there. Your mind is thinking about what comes after or what happened during your day, really the past or the future that you're stuck in when you're not in the present. And so you're just doing this motion. And I can't help but correlate that to how I felt in my Christian life when I was doing certain disciplines, like trying to spend an hour a day as a quiet time,
Right.
or reading my Bible stuff, which I could never stick to because it felt so rules-based.
Yeah. And even with prayer and stuff, like it felt like something I had to do. And like then you'd have your prayer list and then all the people you're praying for, especially like those who need the Lord in their lives. And so it just feels so wrong. And I mean, this is obviously how I did it personally, but I was very black and white and like very kind of, if you told me to do something, I would be very structured and I would do it how you tell me to do it. And so, yeah, it all just became, there's no heart in it.
Yeah. And also, I didn't feel any different after. If anything, I felt a sigh of relief that I'd
True.
done it. Yes, another day. But nothing was keeping me consistent. Where I will tell you that the tools that we're going to get into, you're consistent with them because of how amazing you feel because you're doing them. It's not a guilt thing. You realize that you feel different in how you operate, how you see the world, how you carry stress, than when you don't do them. And so that keeps you doing them because you want to feel like that all the time. But the foundational truth behind all of them is being present. And like I said to you, you can be going through emotion, but stuck in thinking in the future or traumatized or thinking about the past while you're doing that very act. And that means you're not being present. These are cues.
Yeah. And that all those things we do are all in hope of a future outcome. So you're always living to like this future outcome, like something that's going to happen in the future. And so it's so crazy because the disciplines we're practicing now were probably all disciplines that were shunned from us practicing in the church, which is crazy to me.
Certainly with the intent of what we practice in them now,
Yeah, it's actually crazy to me that I didn't ever feel like I could meditate because it was bad,
Right.
But it's these tools that have actually brought me so much closer to God than I've ever been before.
Yes, right. And to yourself.
So connected to myself, yes. And so how the heck could these things be evil or wrong?
Yeah.
It's
I'll tell you why,
absolutely not true.
These things are harder to control. That's why. That's how it's always been.
Yeah, because it empowers you when you do them.
Exactly. And that language of empowering you is anti-Christian in a lot of Christian movements. It's like, it's not about you, it's lay yourself down, all of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's really predicated on this future thing. Like it's the model keeps you in the future. It is like everything's coming. Jesus is going to return one day. Revival's going to happen one day.
Yep, that's a
What's
big
my
one.
destiny one day? What's my calling one day? The rapture, eternity of heaven or hell. It's all future. It's all future.
That's so true.
And when it's not future, it's past. It's like, what do you have to make amends for? What's in your background, you dirty sinner?
Yeah. What do you need forgiveness for? Yeah.
Yeah, but very little of it. I mean, I think there were sweet moments in worship when I felt really present.
I was going to say worship is definitely a present moment practice.
Yeah, and that feels like, because that feels like a pure direct connection to the divine
But it's very outward.
in those moments. It's outward. I mean, there's inward moments as well, and that's probably when you feel your most depth.
That's true.
Yeah, so when it comes to that inward part of God in you, and those very sweet moments, if you've ever experienced that, those are the moments that should be expanded upon, and this is the tool to do it. Okay.
So true.
Now, I've told the story before. A friend tried to give me the book by Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, when we were in LA all those years ago, what, like 10 years ago, 9 years ago, something.
That's crazy.
And I wasn't ready to receive that book. I would have read it through the Christian lens and not been able to receive it.
Yeah. We tried sometimes to step out of like direct like Christian, and you'd read one thing and I'd be like, oh, I'd be so convicted, and I'd be like, no, I can't read this. This is so wrong, and I wouldn't carry on.
Yeah, immediately like you have your back up about it.
Yep.
Even hearing, who's that from? Eckhart Tolle. Oh, no.
Yeah.
No. Why? Because you were told not to read.
I know.
I mean, it's like, okay.
It's crazy.
Discovery. Like I've said before, one of the things in the book, he actually writes in the beginning and says this book comes to you in its right time. And so all these years later, it is here in its right time. And it is the number one book that we recommend you read, Going Through Awakening. The number one book. Yeah. This is the one that you should read and get used to. But this is absolutely life-changing. And it not only changed how I felt within myself and how I saw divine, it changed how I was with everybody around me as well. It was completely bled into my life all over.
Yeah, for me it was it's the book that like catapulted me into consciousness, because I kind of unlearned a lot of the church stuff with the first few books I mentioned. And then when I read this, it was when the switch happened, and it went from just like not having a belief system to being like, whoa, consciousness. What is this thing? And it feels kind of like right. And so for me, it was the first like little spark that hit, and it was this book.
Yeah, that's true. It was. And it was also a flick of a switch from everything being external.
Yes.
Like all of my stuff is praying for others or praying for Holy Spirit to work through me to others, or in this God out there that I'm waiting on to answer my prayers. That was one of the confusing things in my Christian life when I look back on it, is like the amount of times I was asking God to move for me, and it seemed like he was moving for everybody else but me. And that made me feel unworthy and made me feel
100%.
made me lose confidence in myself, not in God, because you're not allowed to. And this was a flip of that. This was building confidence within myself. This was feeling more connected to my power internally instead of this hopeful thing that wasn't happening. But, defining what it is to be present, this friend of mine, when I turned down his book, he asked me another day, he was just sitting out staring at a tree, and he said, like, do you ever stop and stare at a tree? And I'm like, yeah, I love trees. I was like, yeah, I look at trees, sure. But what he's asking me is, are you able to sit and be present and just absorb something, just be in that moment where everything else fades away and it's just that?
Yeah, stillness. It's absolute stillness, and that's where the divine lives.
Right, exactly. And then he did this thing with me, and I'd love you to try it right now. So if you're driving, obviously don't do this, but do it later. Or pull over. It's probably worth it. You'd make a memory of pulling over to try this. I want you to close your eyes for a second, and I just want you to follow what I ask you for, right? So just keep your eyes closed, and I'll tell you when to open them. I want you to just within your mind, within yourself, just start to become aware of your right hand. Just feel it, your right hand. You're aware of it. You might start to feel a tingle like you haven't felt a tingle yet. You might feel the blood moving through it. You just feel it starts feeling alive. Starts feeling alive.
Wow, I'm actually doing this with you. I can feel it. That's crazy.
Right. He did this with me. It was amazing.
Wow.
Now, I want you to start feeling your left foot. Same process. And you start feeling the blood pumping through your left foot, oxygen, and you feel it physically there. And as you feel your left foot, I want you to start to feel the toes on your left foot. Feel your toes. And we'll stop there and you can open your eyes, especially if you're driving, because I'd love to hear any feedback about what happened during those moments. But here's what's just happened. You've become aware in the present moment. Your awareness was not on your hand before. Mm-hmm. Your awareness was not on your foot. This is also called embodiment. But we don't do that much in the Christian realm because we don't count our bodies as such a joy. But you have the tool to become present right now in the moment, and you are becoming present of that hand. You see the energy that went into it and your awareness that went to it and the feeling of life that went to it. Now imagine you can take that same principle of awareness and put it through your life in different situations or feel that all the time. And this is an ongoing practice, but how beautiful and powerful that is.
And when you are aware of that, you're not thinking about anything else. And that's actually where the real magic comes in, because it's not about just being aware of something. It's actually the things that you're not aware of in that moment. And that's where the power lies, because everything that we are normally aware of on a day-to-day basis is all conditioned into our minds to keep our minds busy and based on either the past or either the future. It is thrown at us all day, every day. And so it's actually the most important part about that embodiment and awareness is that there are so many things you're not thinking in that moment.
Yeah, you're not being pulled out.
Yes, which leaves you open to the divine, open to experience. It thins the veil. It draws you closer to God in that moment. And that's when you start becoming the version of yourself that you're supposed to be.
It's amazing what you said, how they're time-based. Most of the things that come into our minds that pull us out of that present moment are either future things that we're worrying about or past things that are plaguing us.
That we regret, And so those are really, that is exactly what it is. There's two time-based traps that, and many, many people face this after leaving religion, because you're so unidentified with anything all of a sudden, even yourself. And so that present moment is actually a scary place to live in, because you don't know who you are. You don't know what you believe in. You don't know so much. And so you get stuck in regret of the past. And there's many aspects to that. And I think you felt a lot of that in your journey. Or you get stuck in fear of the future and like, what if I made a mistake? And what if I am going to hell? And so, there's this like seesaw of things that we think about, and it can really leave you in a very traumatic, mentally unstable state. And I went through that in my journey. It was kind of my dark night of the soul. And we'll speak about that a little later.
Oh, you want to speak about it when we get to the fear part?
Yes, but let's start with the first one, because we'll break these two down, because I think you can talk more into like letting go of the past, the regret, the shame. I mean, you felt a lot of that stuff, right?
Yeah, it was honestly like when I left the church, which was, I guess, 3 years now since I like stepped out. And I mean, I just, I went through like three months of like just I can only define it as mourning.
Yeah, you were grieving.
Oh, grieving.
Yeah.
Yeah. It felt like something had died, and it had. It was a big piece of my life, big piece of my identity, big piece of my
Yeah.
ego. All of this was busy going through a death. And that separation is definitely one of the hardest decisions I've had to live through. It's why, as my motivation for helping people go through that now, through the mentorship and through this podcast. But the regret was real. It was like I regretted my involvement. Like,
For sure.
I regretted like all the preaching, all the teaching. I've set up teaching programs that are still being used in churches. I've preached messages that are recorded digitally and are out there for forever. And I see lives of friends that I convinced of certain truths that I believed to be absolute at the time, and now proven are not to be absolute. And I see them living their lives according to that and raising their kids according to that. And there was a lot of regret. And so going through that, I really had to find a way to heal that. And, again, the only way that I could come to it was sharing it with a friend who I thought would understand, who helped me start the process, and him confirming what I hoped was the answer, which was to realize that you were being, quote unquote, a good person at that time. You were trying to help people. You were operating from a good heart. You weren't trying to manipulate.
No, your intentions were pure. I can attest to that, always.
Yeah. Thanks, babe. And you go through that, questioning all of that, and you feel a lot of regret for being part of it, you go through a phase of feeling like you were suckered into it, and you.
That was my biggest regret. Was just like having bought into something so hard. So I thought I was smarter than that. I know that sounds so
exactly.
egotistical, but I really thought I was smarter than that. That I was someone who would question things that didn't feel right in me. But there were so many things that didn't feel right in me, and I didn't trust myself to question it. And I think that's the biggest thing I regretted. There were a lot of things I did question and I didn't take part in that I just felt wrong, but I never said anything about it. I never dove deeper into why I felt that way.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I regret, maybe.
And then, like you said, that fear that, what if I'm getting it wrong now? What if I'm being suckered again? What if this is just a different cultural thing? And so, again, that's where present moment is the thing that anchors you, because that does away with all of those things in the sense that you are here, living now, enjoying this moment now. And that is what living actually is, aside of everything else that's going on. And so this part of awakening isn't about really escaping time, escaping your past, escaping your present. It's not even really about controlling the mind. It's about returning to presence, returning to the fact that this is the only moment you have. The past is gone. The future isn't here yet. The present moment is literally the only place you can be. So why let your mind be anywhere else where this is what you're meant to be enjoying or doing or engaged with right now?
Yeah, and there's a beautiful quote exactly on that from Eckhart that says, nothing ever happened in the past. It happened in the now. And so the memory is just thought that's happening in the present, right? And so what's the point of living there when every moment is just trying to be there? And so your mind tries to hold you in the past because it makes the past feel wrong. We always focus on that. You always recognize that we focus on the wrong things of the past. And it's because your mind is doing that to hold you there. Right? Sometimes you go back and relive.
That? Why do we always why? I mean, every now and then we'll remember the good times, but it doesn't, like, we don't really absorb it. Actually, to be honest with you, a lot of the good times in life, when I think back on them, now that I understand being present, I'm not sure I was present for them. I'm not sure I was actually there, or if my mind was somewhere else. And even neurologically, if you train your mind to be somewhere else long enough, that's where it's going to be all the time.
Huh.
So I regret that as well.
Yeah. So you asked, why does the mind try to label the past as wrong? And the reason is because it wants you to feel safe in the present. It's a lie, basically. By keeping you in the past, it makes you feel safe in the present, but you're not present.
We don't feel safe in the present, I think. I'm just thinking about this as we go now, because the present is real. And every program we're given, everything we're programmed into is about not real. It's about what's in the future, which isn't real yet because it's in the future. Or it's about what happened in the
Other
past.
side of it. Yeah. Yeah. No, future or past. And that's like, it's that fear after deconstruction that comes, and it's often disguised as logic. So you start asking yourself questions like, what if I've been deceived? What if God is still angry? Like, what if I've lost everything that mattered? And so the fear happens of deconstruction, and then you start living into the future because you're fearful of it.
Right.
And so, again, it's just worry. And worry pretends like to be necessary, but it serves no useful purpose, right?
Right.
And fear like kind of makes us feel productive, and it never is. And so for me on my journey, it wasn't really related to those questions. It was more a life situation, fear, that kept me so stuck in the future.
Right.
And this is kind of where my unraveling happened, because when I was in the church and there were things in life that were hard, say financially, things were hard, there's kind of this feeling that you can relieve yourself of responsibility of it and be like, put it on God, right? So he's in charge of taking care of my problems. And then when it doesn't happen, then you must have done something wrong because I wasn't praying enough, or I wasn't doing my part enough. And so God didn't help me make this happen. And so there is kind of a fear of the future, but not really, because you get to like be passive a little bit in the church. And so coming out of the church, then I had life situations, and suddenly I didn't have the same sense of God. Remember, this is before I discovered who God really was. This is when I had no sense of who God was anymore. This was my most lost moment. And so the only time, I was never fearful. I was only ever disappointed because God wasn't meeting my expectations. And so the first time I really faced full fear of the future was after church. And it was a life situation as well where we were under a lot of pressure. And I felt so lost and so alone in it because I didn't have a God I could hand my problems over to, and he was just going to make it happen, or I was going to get a check in the mail, or suddenly my bank account was going to have $20,000 in it, or whatever. Like I didn't have all these options anymore. And my mind became totally lost in fear. And I was tormented by this fear of the future, without any hope, without any vision, without any purpose, tormented by that thought for probably 6 months. And it was the worst, absolute worst time of my life. And it's a lot of times in awakening, what they speak about is having to like not be broken down, but come to like the lowest version of yourself so that you can truly meet yourself again, without all the conditioning, without all the things that you were drawn into. You have to find that like almost naked version of yourself to find your true identity again. And yeah, that's what this whole process was for me. And so at one point, and this is going to be a great tool as well for anyone who might be experiencing that, because it's very real. I'd just decided, I said, okay, from today, I'm a freaking mindset coach. I know tools that have been helping my athletes like excel, right? And things like gratitude, practicing affirmations, practicing your intentions, all these tools, and I can see it's working on my kids. And I was like, I've been teaching this for years. I need to start implementing this for myself. Mm-hmm. And so I decided, and I made a promise to myself for a year, I'm going to journal every morning. I'll journal my feelings, and some of them were really dark, but I'm going to commit to 3 things I'm grateful for, 3 affirmations affirming who I am in my identity that I was understanding more and more on a daily basis, and then set my intentions for my day, not just to be lost or worried, and be intentional about what I did and what I focused on. And honestly, I worked through that, and I was reading Eckhart Tolle's 2 books, and every day felt lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter, until honestly I woke up one morning and I had no care in the world. And I can't tell you exactly when that was, but looking back on it, there was a moment when I just woke up one day, and from that day forward, I've never been worried again about anything in the future. And it's allowed me the space to grow into everything I'm learning right now and becoming more and more awakened on this journey. And it's just, man, if you feel like you're in that place, I would highly, highly recommend starting that very, very simple discipline. It will change your life. It changed mine. It changed my life.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I saw it change as you committed to being consistent, and consistency is key. And I mean, you're the one that got me journaling eventually. And I've created a very specific way that I journal in the mornings, because I'm not a big writer. So there's a small journal section, but then affirmations, intentions, and a few other things. And I give that to my mentees as well, who decide to work with me. But what was amazing is, you speak about like this tearing away of things. It's basically paradigms that have kept us out of the present, so they've kept us in the future or kept us in the past. Things that we still have to tear away from. Things like, even things in our practical lives, the news overloads, like the news cycles and such. Like, it's all this, what if this happens, and this could happen, and this just happened, and that means this. I don't know how you do a present moment news channel, but the reality is the intent behind it. The intent is to drive fear. The intent is to drive certain agendas. And so when you're buying into that, it is pulling your mindset and your focus and your reasoning and your plans into this non-existent future of what might happen. The news, you just look at all the things that say what might happen and what hasn't happened, and we should be aware enough. And so there are these things that are pulling us. And then you've got bills and pressure and real life things. And some of you won't want to realize, but you've got social media that's inviting you into everybody else's trauma. And so you're again out of this present moment. So-and-so got this and this, and I don't even know so-and-so. Well, they're on Instagram. Like, oh, okay. And so you start holding all this anxiety, but none of it's based on your real life happening right now. So you're involved in all this stuff, and all of it is just keeping you from being in the present moment.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is everything is designed on purpose that way. I believe that 100%.
Yeah, it's all built on panic.
The news, politics, everything, even the church, everything is fear-driven, and it's been designed like that by very intelligent people a very long time ago, and it's been implemented because there are people and there are powers in this world that know the human potential. 100%. It's generations, if not like ancient civilizations deep, where there are always people that have been aware of the human condition, and the only way to keep us away from becoming our true potential is fear. And so that is why it's been drilled into everything in our society. And part of becoming present,
fear and desire, like desiring something. Life will be good when I get that Ferrari.
100%.
Life will be good when I get that medication they just advertised to me. Then life will be good. All this future
it's all
stuff.
designed. Consumerism, everything is designed to keep us in want or in fear, And the beautiful part about learning present moment awareness is that it moves you out that system.
Yes.
And then you start to see the system from the outside, and everything becomes crystal clear. And that is the unlocking of where consciousness can come in. When you let go of fear, you step outside the matrix, and now you're open to the authentic. You're now invited into Zion, basically.
A lot of it basically is hijacking your nervous system because you're responding to all these things out of fear or out of anxiety, such, and so your nervous system starts operating differently. And there's a lot of physiology to this. It's one thing that I really appreciate because there wasn't a lot of physiology involved in Christianity. It was all spiritual, but there is a body that you've been given to use, and so it hijacks your nervous system and it puts you in this state of always reacting, always feeling like you're in survival mode, always feeling like you're living on the edge. Now, if the news is doing that to you, and the news is all based on future or fear, what about Christianity? It's based on future. It's based on fear. It's based on, we want to use the language, it's based on a loving God. Yeah, some of the things I read in the Old Testament, I'm not sure that God is so loving, and I'm not sure that if I really read it through the proper lens without all the conditioning that I would want to serve that God. There's a lot of fear-driven stuff there, and the system is fear-driven, and so it hijacks your nervous system. So what you were doing with journaling was just so unbelievable because it was such a simple act, but you were separating from the programming, and you were reprogramming your nervous system around what you were feeling in the present moment.
Yep.
And that is the power that you have to do that, is to reprogram yourself. If you just commit, and something simple like journaling, I saw it change you.
Yeah. No, it's phenomenal. And I still do it. It's not something that ever stops happening. And I can still feel if I have days that I wake up a little more anxious or thinking about weird stuff. I never get stuck in that fear anymore. But if I wake up, I go like, oh, okay, I haven't actually journaled in like 2 or 3 days. And then I know I've just slipped out of it. And so
you feel the difference.
That's why these practices are so exciting, because it draws you back to you every time, and you just can't live without it. It's really cool. And that's why meditation does the same for me, and breathwork does the same for me. And that's literally what prayer is supposed to be. That is what prayer has been changed from into something very strange. But that's essentially what prayer is, just being in the present moment, because, again, the divine lives in stillness. And so it's finding that stillness that is truly drawing you close to God. And that's when he can speak to your heart, and you can bring your request to him as well. It's beautiful.
In fact, if you follow what we've been speaking about through the last few episodes, and you realize the Christ Spirit is in everything, and that is the God Spirit source in everything, then staring at a tree actually makes a lot of sense.
That's
That is
true.
also why in a lot of Eastern religions, staring at something like a tree is actually considered prayer. In fact, Richard Rohr would say that prayer is any time you direct your attention towards source and toward God, and that is prayer. So staring at a tree, understanding the Christ Spirit is keeping it alive, is prayer. You don't have to have a prayer list. It is a connection point with the divine, because you understand the divine is keeping that alive. Now, if you take that into what happened in rigid religion, there in Catholicism, you do stare at an icon. You stare at a painting, or you stare at a stained glass window that reveals God. The reality is you don't need that physical, structured religious painting.
Wow, this is cool.
Or that structured religious stained glass window, because you have a tree that God put there. You have grass. You have clouds. You have your own body to marvel at.
Yeah, it's true.
There is more than enough without the man-made structure for you to be present right now with yourself and with the divine.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think the key to finding that place is really finding separation from the mind. And I think that's the big thing. That was like the big aha moment for me, like, because also in The Power of Now, it says you are not your mind. You are the awareness behind it. And so as soon as I realized I could step back from my own thoughts and observe the thoughts instead of being the thoughts and being overwhelmed by the thoughts, there were moments when even if thoughts would pop in, I physically can feel me stepping back from my mind, and I let that thought either pass by me. Sometimes I look at that thought and laugh at it, because I'm like, actually, Rachelle, why? That is so stupid, but it's not me, so now I can address it as an external entity. And that's such a great way to begin to soften your mind. And that's once you understand that and it clicks for you, then you understand that you are not your beliefs, you're not your spirals, you're not your overthinking, you're not any of that. I used to call myself an overthinker. I could have literally stood up and be, hi, I'm Rachelle, I'm an overthinker. Like, that would have been my introduction. And when I realized, oh, no, that's not even me, a lot changed.
You've done as well. This is why I keep saying you're like these 3 months ahead of me type deal, because I can see you go through this and I can see you change it and I can see you live it. I struggle with this still. Like this is like being the watcher of your mind, that moment of actually recognizing that I'm acting out of that space. That's not the real me. I find it difficult. I still find it difficult to observe my thoughts in a way, or watch my thoughts, or maybe I just don't understand it fully.
You just have to be patient in the process, I think, because once you start, it's awareness, it's present moment awareness. So it's actually being present in that moment. So whatever you're actually thinking that's making you react a certain way that you don't want to, it's because you're not rooted in the present moment. But what happens is, so the more you start connecting to the present moment, the more you start to live there. And then the more you start to live there, you start observing one thought at a time. And as soon as you observe it and you go and you see a thought, you're like, oh, and it like clicks something further on like the cog of this transformation that's happening. And then maybe you miss a few thoughts on the way, but then you'll recognize 2 more, and then you'll miss a few and then recognize 5 more. And so then what happens is at some point you're recognizing them as the observer more than you're not.
So what's them? I'm recognizing the thoughts that are making me feel anxious or making me feel stressed. Those thoughts. And if I recognize those thoughts, then I'm going to recognize that I'm worrying about something that hasn't happened yet.
Yes, because you're not present.
I'm worried about something that's past and gone.
Yeah.
And so just recognizing that.
And
And then
stopping and stopping and pausing.
That's
is key.
being the watcher. That's watching.
That's being the observer.
Observing my thoughts. Okay.
I think stopping and pausing in those moments is the way, because normally you want to just run through it. And I think as soon as you recognize it and have that glimpse of awareness to stop and pause and reflect, I think patience is key in this process.
Recognizing that moment is, and giving yourself grace when you don't, because you realize you've been programmed to operate the other way for so long that making this change requires practice and consistency. But I get that. Okay. There's a neurological thing that I heard about that's really helpful. It's called pinching your brain.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And so actually this is a good one. If your mind is running away with you and those thoughts are running away or worries are running away, and again, it's hard to recognize the moment, and I'm still learning to try and be consistent at this, but if you can just recognize the moment that you're not in the present moment and you're stuck in the past, stuck in the future, pinching your brain is a neuroscience that you actually sit or stand or wherever you are, but sit is good because it's nice, restful, and you choose an object and you stare at that object intently, like let everything else blur and fade away. So for example, if it's a plant, what's going to happen is you're going to start seeing the veins in the leaves. You'll start seeing the stems and maybe lines in the stems, or a bruising or a this or a that. If it's got bark, you might notice the pattern on the bark, and very fine details start to happen as you intently focus on this object. I mean, it can be anything, usually something with texture. But as you do that, it actually neurologically pinches your brain into the present moment because you're focusing on that thing right here, right now. So it's a really good practical thing to do. And when I remember to do it, it does help me.
It's so helpful. And that's the same thing when you spoke about the embodiment thing of feeling your right hand, feeling your left hand.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not about, yes, it's about the tree.
Yeah.
Yes, it's about the tree you're staring at, but most importantly, it's about what you're not thinking in those moments that's bringing stillness to you. And again, stillness is where the divine lives. And so that's why you want to keep going there. And this is why people overcomplicate stillness to have the thought that I have to sit still and not think and not talk and not do anything is very uncomfortable for a lot of people. We're constantly doing, phone in one hand, TV on in the in the room, like we're constantly
Doom
doing multiple
scrolling
things.
away.
Yes, so thinking of like stillness, you're like, that's too much. I don't know if I can attain stillness. The monks attain stillness. Like there's other practices, not me. But stillness isn't fancy. It's actually available really quickly to us if you just are aware of it. So like in a deep breath, like focusing on your breathing, even if it's just a moment of thought or anxiety, just focusing your attention on breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, and only focusing on how the air feels going through your system, that immediately brings you into present moment awareness. A walk in nature, like just alone without your phone, with nothing, where you only can look at what's around you, very present moment. For me, and I teach this with my one-on-one students as well, if they are super anxious about competition or where they're at or going on stage, the first thing I tell them is to practice gratitude in that moment. And so gratitude for me is the biggest switcher into stillness, because it quiets your mind so much when you realize, oh, I'm actually yes, okay, money, worries, blah, 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 all that stuff happens. And then you go, hey, I'm so grateful right now in this moment. I have a roof over my head. I have food in my refrigerator. Nothing is wrong in this moment. Everything is actually perfectly fine.
Yeah, you still do this with me now. When I step
I
out of it,
have
I'm
to.
like,
I know.
babe, but money for the end of the month and this and that. And you're like, yes, but right now we have everything we need.
Yes.
Right now, in this moment,
yeah,
we have everything we need. Depending on the day, that upsets me or it balances me. I'm working on it balancing me
that's
more and
hard.
more.
Yeah.
But the reality is the reality. This is practical stuff. And yeah, like it's true. I can go to the refrigerator right now and I can get what I need. It's not necessarily what my brain tells me I want. Like
yeah.
but what I need, what do I actually need then? The gratitude of I need air and water and
Yeah.
some food and a roof
Yeah.
over my head. I have all of those things.
I know. It's amazing. And so the beautiful thing about this, and which makes it even more simple, is that the moment you realize you are not present, you are present. There's nothing else you have to do.
Yes. Say that again.
And this is an Eckhart quote again. He says, the moment you realize you are not present, you are present. It's as easy as that. I mean, it's as easy as that. So it's not about doing it perfectly. It's just about noticing. Awareness is the biggest key to present. It's present moment awareness. It's being aware of the present moment by just understanding and seeing that you're not aware. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I love how these things combine the body that we're given to experience this life and the spiritual dynamic that is us inside this body, basically. That
It's
we're
wild.
feeding both of those things, that if the body is a tool for our soul to inhabit, to move through this life, then using our body as a tool in order to grow our spiritual selves is a beautiful thing. And it's not exclusive. Like Christianity is pray a prayer, read your Bible, all that stuff. And it's still very exclusive for those that either accept the faith or don't, or do it or not, and you progress or you don't. All of those things are just so crazy. Where here, every human being has a body as a tool to experience these things. And one of the things I've heard so much of in like pre-bedtime meditations and those sort of spaces is this embodiment practice of, like I said earlier, feel your hand, feel your foot, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. When your mind is rushing and you can't fall asleep at night, your mind is rushing because you're either stuck on something somebody did to you or a past event, or your mind is rushing because you're worried about the future and you can't sleep. And I've been there. We've all been there a lot. But you see, you're stuck in the future or you're stuck in the past. And one of the best ways lying in bed there to become present is to start embodiment and start to feel your feet, and slowly take your time and feel your legs, feel your body, feel parts of it. And as you do that, your mind comes to the present moment, and that's the thing that actually switches you off from the future and the past, and you'll actually fall asleep. And so these things are beneficial spiritually and beneficial physically to us. And it's funny because I think about, like, you know, some of these principles echo things that we had in Christianity, but the intent was so different. Like the approach was so different. Like, you know, you can be part of the church, you can read all the books, you can light the candles, you can wear the t-shirts, drink the coffee, and still completely miss out on the most practical, common human trait that you should have, which is being present.
Crazy.
And the scary thing is you can do that with any tools. You can do that with these tools.
That's true.
You know, you could buy all the t-shirts about being present, and you could hang out with all the people who are present. But if you yourself don't practice being present, you can be part of another culture that actually isn't serving you the way it's meant to serve you. And so having these tools, it's not about, you know, abandoning everything. It's about becoming who you actually are in your simplest form, is being present and being here.
Yes, and I think this is why this is so special, is because you have the unraveling that happens, then you learn how to become present. And then the next part that kind of happens, and I'm hopeful that we'll be speaking to someone about this very soon, the next part that happens is remembering. And then what happens is when that happens, and it's a very exciting process, you can't go back. You can't go back to doing things out of obligation. You can't go back out of not being present. You can't go back to... And so there is a moment that comes when it's not just about doing the practices, it's actually about becoming. And that's the next part of this journey, because then you become everything without any force, only flow. It's the most beautiful place to be in, and it's very exciting.
It is. And it is this combination. Like when we speak about flow, it's like this spiritual flow that you're feeling in your life, that there is this design for you having purpose, but it's tied to remembering who you are, but it's also like soothing your nervous system.
Yes,
and you're sleeping better, and you're not worrying about the things you used to worry about, and you don't feel lost. And then you're meeting people who are of like mind, and you're starting to connect in community. You see, all the things that you feel you've lost by leaving church, they were a shadow of what you're going to experience through awakening and beyond.
Right.
It's just, this is a very exciting time. This is not like they did this to me moment. This is I've seen a shadow of this, and now, whoa, things are coming, and it's exciting. It's always exciting to know what's coming next, right?
Yes, it is. And that's what we're stepping away from now. We're stepping away from like, the church this, the church that, like the journey is just into a lot of beautiful things now, and it's very cool. And I wanted to read something. Can I read something to do with like, this is kind of just, I've been reading The Alchemist, and this is way down my book list, but it's something I've been wanting to read for a long time, but it was given to me by a friend, and I cannot even tell you how perfect this book has come into my life. It's just so cool. But today, and I knew
like
we were
all the other books through the journey have happened in order. Yeah.
Yes, perfectly. And so today I knew we were doing present moment awareness, but I was just sitting reading the book. I had no idea that something would pop up about this, but just listen to this. It's so, so beautiful. The secret is here in the present. If you pay attention to the present, you can improve upon it. And if you improve on the present, what comes later will also be better. Forget about the future and live each day according to the teachings, confident that God loves His children. Each day in itself brings with it an eternity.
That closing line, it just drops like a bomb, because
that's the whole point. Yes.
It is. We worry about the future, but it's in the present moment that we find eternity.
Because anything is possible.
From the present moment.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. Sometimes your nervous system doesn't need more theology, more understanding. Sometimes your nervous system just needs a breath.
Yeah.
And what's really strange is maybe that's what your soul needs as well, is just a breath and just the release of like the old self wasn't bad. You're just learning. You're going on this journey. You know, you wanted to belong somewhere. It's all good. Listen, belong within yourself first. Belong within yourself. Discover yourself and realize that it's a journey. And there's life in this present moment for you to be somebody different. Who says you have to be what you were told to be? Who says that you have to be your past? Who says that you have to be some version of something for the future? These are all paradigms. You need to discover who you are. That's the whole point of this life. And when you discover who you are, you're going to be that person to other people. And it's a good person. And by whatever standard good is, that's fine. Let's rather say it's a real person. It's a real soul. It's authentic. And that's going to be very freeing for you, and it's going to be freeing for everybody around you. And it's just a beautiful journey. So just take a breath, man. Just chill. Take a breath. Be free of the programming. And the only place you can discover yourself is right now, in the present.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you found it valuable, please share it with someone who might need it too.
Head over to unchurchingpodcast.com for more resources or to book a free mentorship call. Sometimes you just need someone to process with.
Remember to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on Instagram at Unchurching Podcast. Till next time.
Cheers. Ciao. Goodbye.